Hello and welcome to the Lifestyle Based Healing Podcast, where we talk about everything wellness and holistic health related. Today's video is a reaction video to a TED Talk that my mom found. Mom, do you mind letting us know why you chose this video?
I think this video is so great because, first let me back up. I like to find resources like a TED Talk or other things that I can share with the clients I work with. Because, we're always talking about how to be well and how to change their lifestyle, that sort of thing. So it's one thing for me to say it, and then if I can say, and here's a video that's entertaining, by the way, this is a really great, well done TED Talk, for them to watch, to kind of have that reinforcement, right? And so I think that this topic that's going to review about lack of movement and being sedentary is a really important topic for many of us to hear. So I'm hoping everybody watching is going to get a lot out of it as well.
Yeah, and the prescription or the findings that she shares are actually really interesting. So I'm excited for it too. Let's go ahead and dive in.
Okay.
Do you ever close your laptop at the end of a long day and feel like you have just enough energy to crawl over to the couch, to scroll on your phone, or watch a show, or maybe both at the same time? Yeah. During the pandemic,
Do you ever feel that way?
Yeah, and I hear this a lot from my clients,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. So I loved this because so many people can identify with that. They're like, oh my gosh, she's talking to me. And I can honestly say this last week after I worked a 10-hour day, I felt like that. Yet I remember this video, and I'm like, okay, I need to go move my body, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm hoping that's what it does for other people too. How about you?
Yeah, for sure. And just so many times, so many people struggle with low energy. It's kind of crazy. So I think this is a really good pick.
Yeah.
that was all I wanted to do, and I couldn't understand why. I was safe, I was healthy. Why didn't I want to close my laptop and go dance around the living room? Where did all my energy go? I'm a journalist. My specialty for the last 10 years has been trying to understand how our tech habits change us as people. And so I decided I was going to find out why sitting in front of a screen makes us feel so exhausted. Because we have all heard about the mental effects, right? But what about our physical health? Well, as I quickly learned, looking at screens has not only reshaped our days, it is reshaping our bodies. According to researchers at Johns Hopkins, every day the average 19-year-old moves about as much as the average 60-year-old. Over the last 20 years...
Let's talk about that. A little bit of an age difference here, right? And
Yeah.
so you're like, wow. I mean, of course you're not 19, but it's to even think that that's a huge difference with physical activity.
I mean, when you're 19, you're supposed to be out doing stuff and,
Yeah.
I don't know, going out, dancing around, doing athletic stuff, hiking, exploring the world.
Yeah. And this idea that it reshapes your body, I know this, I hear that a lot when I'm in Pilates and that sort of thing, about how we have to counteract sort of that, that neck and everything, our back, from just those postures. And so you don't really realize repetitively being in those postures, it actually does take its toll on your body. Yeah.
And you probably don't realize just how long you spend in those postures.
Yeah.
4 hour increments every time you work or something, twice a day, 5 times a week. If you work at a desk, that's a lot of hours.
Well, and then what do? You get in your car and drive home.
That's
right. So again, you're in a different sort of posture, but still similar, right? Or you're at lunch. Even at lunch, you're there scrolling.
Yeah.
So it's pretty repetitive.
Do you think 19-year-olds are less active than 19-year-olds used to be?
I think so, but because back in my day, and I'm old, was we didn't have all the distractions.
Yeah.
We didn't have things like on our computer or games like that to distract us, to hold us still. We had to go out to be entertained, and doing things to be entertained. And she doesn't even mention about just the sheer exposure of all those bright lights on our eyes and our sleep and all that, right? So.
Yeah, for sure.
Rates of type 2 diabetes in young people have doubled. 3 in 4 American adults has a chronic illness. Many of those are preventable, at least one chronic illness. And the WHO says that this is a global problem. They predict that by the end of the decade, which is not that far away, this lifestyle will likely lead to 500 million new cases of preventable conditions like heart disease, obesity, and diabetes, costing governments $27 billion.
The health crisis.
Yes.
Talk about that
So
all the
wait,
time.
Yeah.
what's the catch?
Absolutely.
That's what most people
Just let
ask
this
when
play.
they hear about Smud's brand new
gonna
home
cut this
battery
out.
incentive.
Because getting
Typing, swiping, scrolling, sitting. This is the rhythm of our modern life. But I don't know about you, I can't throw away my phone, right? Like, I can't go off the grid. So how can we stay connected without slowly destroying our health? That was the question running through my mind when I came across this guy. Keith Diaz is a physiologist at Columbia University Medical Center, and he has spent his entire career trying to figure out how little can we get away with moving so that sitting doesn't kill us, basically. And in 2022, he published a small study that gives us a great idea. He found that just 5 minutes of gentle movement every 30 minutes had dramatic effects. It slashed blood.
That's pretty incredible, huh?
Do you even believe that?
Well, yeah, I do. Because if you think about what you're doing, you're getting up and you're just moving the blood around, right? Instead of just letting it pool in all the places we don't want it to pool.
Mm-hmm.
And we often think it has to be this grand thing. And 5 minutes, I tried this recently because I've been sitting a lot. I turn on my hot water kettle and I'm like, okay, I'm going to climb the stairs repeatedly while that heats. Well, it seemed to take way longer than it normally takes as I'm climbing the stairs. And even in that 3 minutes, I got my heart rate up a little bit, right? And so I was like, okay, that's a positive thing. And so that if you do it every time, how many times a day are you doing it, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So do you believe it?
Yeah, I'm inclined to believe it. Yeah.
It's better than sitting.
Yeah, and it makes sense because it just breaks up that repetitive movement or posture holding, or poor posture holding, really.
Right, yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
Sugar, and blood pressure. In another study, he found that inactive people who traded 30 minutes of sitting for 30 minutes of movement every day could lower their risk of a premature death by 18%.
Swapping 30 minutes of sitting for 30 minutes of moving. What does that mean?
So let's say, and even if I think what she's saying is if you break it up in those increments, okay?
Oh, yeah, okay.
So if you're doing 5 minutes, and she's doing 5 minutes an hour, yeah? Is that what she's doing?
No,
or
5 minutes every 30 minutes.
every 5 minutes, every 30 minutes. So, you're doing that repetitively. So the accumulation of that's going to be 30 minutes. And most people don't even get that much exercise in during the day.
Right.
Right? Now you've broken it up and yet you're achieving it.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Yeah.
And so maybe you're like, yeah, I worked out this morning, so I'm good. Or maybe you're like, phew, I'm so glad I got that standing desk. I'm so sorry, but if you sit or stand for the majority of your waking hours, your health is in jeopardy too.
This surprised me.
Don't stop working
The standing
out,
desk?
Keith told
Yeah.
me.
Did it surprise you?
A little bit, yeah, because I always feel better when I use standing. At least, well, I guess it helps me not sit the whole time because I sit and then I stand and I sit and I stand.
Yeah.
So that's better. I feel better with that. But I didn't know that just standing alone isn't necessarily good.
Yeah, I wonder if you're standing and doing calf raises, or something like that, if that would be beneficial.
Well, I find I fidget around, move, and
Yes, I could see where you have more freedom of movement, probably standing. And but you think about people that stand in one place, like at a conveyor belt in a factory or something like that, or that could be pretty monotonous. And,
For sure.
And sometimes standing for long periods of time hurts your back.
yeah.
So again, it's that sort of stationariness. Maybe I'm wondering if that's what she's talking about.
Yeah, I could see like kind of things would pool in your feet too if you're just like standing and
Yeah.
not actually really engaging your muscles, but just like holding that posture.
Yeah.
But he said what you have to do is break up these long stretches of sedentary screen time. When he told me this, I was like, really? Like, how big a difference can these movement breaks make for someone who's, relatively healthy? I decided I would join the study. So one day I went to his lab and I sat and worked on my laptop for 8 hours straight. The next day I took those movement breaks every half hour or so. They checked all my vital signs. And the results were actually quite extraordinary.
Let's pause this real quick. So this is her glucose monitoring, right?
Yeah, morning glucose, same spike, faster recovery with movement breaks. So it looks like she on the one axis she's showing the glucose level. That's your blood sugars, right? And then the bottom one, I guess, is her minutes of movement. I'm guessing.
Yeah. What I noticed about this is exactly what it looks like when you decrease your insulin resistance, which is the root cause that we target when we work with people with diabetes.
Yes.
What does that mean?
What does what mean?
Like, how would you translate that to people? Like, so do you think her insulin resistance actually gone down because she had those movement breaks?
Well, I think her blood sugars are probably, so it looks like she spikes, right? So it looks like movement break is here. That's the spike versus a sedentary day, right? So I don't know. It doesn't tell me, that's her glucose level.
So
she
assuming she did this right, she ate the same meal at the same time.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Yeah, you don't know, right? So.
But assuming that's exactly what we see when people start to lower their insulin resistance.
Yeah, well, because and what we know is like that's why the recommendation for people with diabetes, and honestly for everybody, because we all eat and our blood sugars all go up. Why they recommend going out for a walk after you eat, because it helps bring those blood sugar numbers down. Yeah. Especially if your numbers spike high, it brings them down, and so you can see that's what it's doing for her, right? Because that's the blue.
Yeah, usually you see like it spikes higher, but it comes down sooner because your body puts that sugar away.
But if you look at her spike, it's still in the normal range.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I just
it's still in the normal range.
Okay.
Yeah. So it looks really dramatic, but she's in the normal range. Often with people with type 2 diabetes, it'll spike higher.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do, is avoid those really high spikes by doing the exercise. Yeah. Right. And more importantly, bringing them down faster, so they're not up as long. And that's really desirable. You want them to come down faster, like they did here.
Right.
Yeah.
So regardless, even though I don't think she's diabetic. That's really cool to see.
Yeah, it is.
My glucose was cut nearly in half. My blood pressure was down by 5 points, and my mood was so much better.
That's huge.
A
better mood? Yeah.
You just feel better.
You feel better, yeah.
It compounds upon itself, right?
It does.
If you feel better, then you're going to do it more, and then you have more energy in the tank to do all the other healthy stuff that makes you feel good.
Yes.
Clear, but like, what did it matter if no one could actually do these movement breaks? Like, it was easy in the lab. Somebody tapped me on the shoulder and led me over to the treadmill. So we decided to ask people out in the world, out in real life, to see if they could do it. Our teams at NPR and Columbia combined forces to create a podcast and a global clinical trial called the Body Electric Study. And over 20,000 people signed up. We had to cap it at 20,000 people, and they could choose a movement dose. So they could move 5 minutes every half hour, 5 minutes every hour, or every 2 hours. They could dance around the house. They could pace on calls. They could walk the dog. They could take out the trash. It didn't matter. They just had to break up those long periods of sitting. And you guys, I was so excited. I was like, we are gonna launch a movement for movement. Yeah, I've got away with words. But I am not gonna lie, those first few days were so tough. It takes a lot of intention and a little rebellion to upend a world that is quite literally built around screens and chairs. But when people figured it out, when they started getting those breaks into their lives, they started having breakthroughs. They told us that they felt less pain. They told us that they had more energy. They said that they felt more positive about life in general. In the end, of the people who started taking movement breaks, 80% managed to stick with them for 2 solid weeks. And yes, this was a self-reported study with a lot of very motivated participants.
It's also only 2 weeks.
Radio. But still, still, the data showed that the more often they took breaks, the better they felt. People who went outside got an extra boost. Some people lost a few of those stubborn pounds, and most people actually liked taking the breaks. But the biggest surprise to me was that the breaks did not hurt their productivity. People said they got back to their desks and they were able to focus, and they felt that the work they did was actually of better quality. So this research is going through the scientific process right now, but Keith explained to me some of the reasons why these gentle breaks can have such an outsized impact. So when we sit, our arteries get bent at our hips and our knees, kind of like a kinked vacuum hose. Blood starts pooling in our legs and our muscles stop contracting. But leg muscles need to move, be stimulated in order to clear out fat and sugar and reduce blood pressure. If they don't, over months and over years, that's when those chronic conditions can start to creep in. And then there is our posture. Sitting compresses the diaphragm. We start taking shallow breaths. Shallow breaths lead to less oxygen going into our blood and up to our brain. Less oxygen in our brain means we get tired and lose focus. Feel free to take
a deep breath. Yeah, that's. I mean, every time I think about breathing, the thing, it's pretty interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anytime you talk about any of this stuff, it's just so interdisciplinary, because breathing is can be considered a whole thing unto itself, right?
Absolutely.
And yeah. So.
As is movement, you know,
Yeah.
and exercise and that sort of thing. But I think, you know, what I love about this is they mentioned the way that how we work with people is you do small things. You know, really these small little goals, like, because even if people don't achieve it every single day, right, it's more than they did yesterday. So if they don't get off every hour for 30 minutes for 5 minutes or whatever it is, however they choose it, it's still typically more than they were doing before they started doing it. And
100%.
then the thing is, when they do start feeling better, that will become more of a habit, and you just know it's not a bad habit. And so we're always trying to break our bad habits, and so you're adding in a really good one. And I think that's really beneficial.
Yeah, building in habits is just as important as breaking bad ones.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath right now if you want to. And that is where screens come into the picture. So screens can mess with something called interoception. Interoception is the body's way of telling you what it needs. It needs a snack. It needs to go to the bathroom. It needs to move. The more we focus on screens, the less we listen to the signals that our body is sending us. Your body could be begging for a break, but what do? You keep scrolling past the anxiety, scrolling past the exhaustion. That eventually can lead to burnout, yes, and again, those chronic conditions. So, how can you start making a change and feeling better? Well, first, think about your most sedentary stretches of time, and then make yourself a mantra. So like if you are a student, you could say, I'll take an extra lap around the quad before class instead of checking TikTok, so I get to class with more oxygen in my brain and I can actually focus.
Those youngins and their TikTok.
Or if you work from home, you could decide that on long Zoom calls, I will march in place in order to manage my glucose and avoid the post-meeting crash. If you're a parent, you could say, I will take a lap around the soccer field once so that I have enough energy to get through the
This was
dinner
actually
time.
my favorite thing to do. You know, when my kids were when you guys were young and you'd be at sports things, I always had my shoes in the car and I would go out and walk. And, you know, and it's beautiful because it's like you're at a field. I mean, it's like it's downtime anyway, for the most part. And so, you know, other things that come to mind along here is like, you know, park further out in the parking lot to walk to where you're going.
She's making it really concrete of things you can implement, anyone can implement in their life.
Sure. I mean, it's like we often think we have to really do something big and make it very concrete. Where she's trying to make it just in your everyday life, and I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, if you think about it, 5 minutes every 30 minutes. Let's say over a span of 4 hours, that's 20 minutes of movement that you wouldn't have otherwise had. If you do that twice a day, that's 40 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And then over the course of a week, that's now 2 hours, 3 hours.
Yeah, and the recommendation for movement is 150 minutes a week, right? And
Yeah.
So, and so
You would actually get there.
You would get there, and then again, how do you feel? You feel good, and you start feeling the differences, and then like you said, it compounds itself. And
now you have energy to then, I don't know, go do a workout or go join a gym or
absolutely
go ride your bike somewhere.
Or
do something that's more, I guess, explicitly.
And I think it is still very proactive for people. Instead of, we often get in this like, I don't know what to do. And so that's why I love this, where I can actually share this information. And again, this is something you could probably do. And like, even if you don't do it every day, try 3 days a week to start.
Yeah.
Right? That sort of thing.
You can have a dance party while you microwave your leftovers. You can walk the concourse instead of sitting and waiting for your flight. A mix of all these habits will keep your muscles firing and your mood steadier. My favorite story came from a 43-year-old woman named Dana who works in HR. So Dana was a type 2 diabetic with all kinds of health issues. Her doctor told her she needed to take a long, brisk walk every morning, and she was doing this, but her numbers just were not changing. So with her doctor's permission, she decided to join the study. She started fitting in movement breaks between all of her meetings, and within a couple of weeks, she told me her blood pressure dropped by 40 points. Her cholesterol went down, and her doctor told her she could start tapering her insulin. She's actually off all of her meds today.
That's really huge. And the funny thing is, we see that a lot, don't we?
Yeah.
What we do, yeah.
I don't think this method is what got her off her insulin, but maybe.
Maybe,
she's probably doing some other stuff as well.
Here, this is what typically happens, though. And and when you know this, we've seen it. You start feeling a little bit better. Yeah. I always know that when people first come to me, they start, because they know I'm looking at what they're eating or whatever. They start eating better. Okay, they start adding in these things that they should have been doing before. And when she's now in a study, right? So she's like, oh, they're going to be paying attention. I need to be doing this. And that naturally leads you to more, more positive sort of behaviors. So you do start paying attention to your food because you're finally paying attention to your health with movement. So it really does compound, right? And it really does affect other things you do. So I agree with you. I don't think just the movement, but maybe.
It's all the dominoes.
It's all the dominoes, yeah.
But knocking each other over.
Because what we typically know is it's more than one thing. But I think what happens is when you're paying attention to one thing, you start kind of paying attention to these other things too.
We love you, Dana.
They stack.
They do.
So we know that too much time online is not great for our mental health, but it's not just in our heads, it's in our bodies. We need movement to be as much a part of our lives as screens are. We need our schools, our neighborhoods, our workplaces to give us time and space just to move. You can help push this reset forward. Take movement breaks. And when people look at you like you're weird, just tell them why you're doing it. Because you just want to feel a little better. Get them to put down their phone and join you. Start soon. Start small. Should we start now? Yeah. Do we have some music? You're going to
get up and dance?
You can do the mark.
Yeah.
It's moving.
Yeah, we should have been doing this whole episode standing up, I guess, while we're moving. But yeah, I think some of the things I like to do is with my friends, I'll do a walk and talk, right? Say they want to get together and people like to go to lunch. Well, sometimes I'll go to lunch afterwards, but typically it's let's just go walk and get our talk in and maybe eat after. But typically it's I think there's a lot of ways you can work it in for sure. And it's just being creative and really just changing our norm.
Yeah. And just kind of building into, kind of like a lot of times nutrition wise will be like, you should think about adding vegetables or fiber in every meal. Well, you should also be thinking about, how can I get movement in the next hour or next 30 minutes or whatever.
Right. I agree.
Even just a 3-minute to 5-minute segment.
Yeah, and so I think that's why I like this, because it seemed very tangible. And 5 minutes, that's nothing, really, right? And so even like I said, even if you did it a few times rather than 0 times, that's a positive thing. So overall, you buy into it?
Yeah, I like it. I'm going to start doing that.
Yeah, okay.
Well, thanks for joining us for this one. If you enjoyed this content, make sure to like and subscribe so you get more videos from us. And it also helps push it to people that need to see it. You can also find more resources from us at therevitalizecenter.com. Go there to download more courses, sign up for our newsletter, which is some more free content. Otherwise, we'll see you guys in the next episode.